they probably would have been the favorite going into the Western Conference next year. Because I think people figured out Golden State small ball. And, I was watching you guys yesterday, and you guys said, I saw you reference being Oscar Robertson. First of all, y'all could say, well, Charles and Oscar were right. The Golden State Warriors were overrated. We're trying to tell y'all that. No, listen, and I don't pop my own horn. I tried to tell you, they got a good little team. What I said was, if they win the championship this year, not playing against all those injured teams, I'll get on my knees and say I was wrong. But what Oscar said and what I've been saying, they were overrated the whole time. Now there's nothing you can say. They went out and got one of the probably 10 best players in the world, but they wouldn't have been the favorite going into it next year. The Spurs game you saw in Oklahoma City, those two teams would have been favored in the West if Durant had stayed there.
Before we get to the money that's been going around here, I have two more about teams, and we're getting more than a few of these. It says, ask Barkley about the super team he joined in Houston or Phoenix, as far as the difference in what's going on.
Well, I got traded to Phoenix. They weren't a super team. They weren't even a good team when I got there, first and foremost. I got traded for 5 guys to go to Phoenix, so they weren't a super team. And first of all, I got traded to Houston. I never wanted to leave Phoenix. And first of all, we were just too old then. And I have no problem. First of all, I've heard that argument the last couple of days. I have no problem with a guy at the end of his career like Karl Malone or Gary Payton, I think, did it, something like that. I have no problem with a guy at the end of his career. We're talking about a guy who's 27 years old, who's led the league in scoring 4 out of probably the last 5 years, who's a former MVP. I think that's a little bit different than a guy who's 37 years old like myself getting traded to Houston when I couldn't play anymore. I don't think that's comparable.
Would there be,
but go ahead.
Another one they're saying would a more apt comparison about guys maybe being a little younger were when Allen, Garnett, and Pierce went to Boston?
Those guys were traded.
Yeah,
those guys didn't conspire to get together. It's a great point and great question. Hey, that was just a great trade. Well, that was a bad trade by Minnesota. and I think Ray came from Milwaukee. That was a trade. That wasn't 3 guys getting together over the summer on the banana boat let's try to dominate the league. That's my problem. Listen, if you get traded, you get traded. But when you all get together and say, let's dominate the league and try to cheat your way to championship, Mike, let me tell you this. What did you feel when LeBron left Cleveland?
Listen, as a person born and raised in Cleveland, I felt bad, but as a former athlete, I understood what he was doing. I absolutely understood what he was doing, and what he did worked, Charles. I mean, what he wanted to, you may not agree with it, but what he went there to accomplish worked. And the biggest difference in my mind is, you're right, and that's why I brought him up, because I knew the answer. I knew they were all trades. So the difference we see nowadays is, instead of GMs making these teams by bringing all the players in, I think a lot of people have a problem with the fact that players now have the power to do basically the exact same thing.
Well, I don't think guys are upset that the players have the power. I think players are upset when they collusion when they try to get around on vacations. Let's all get together. I think that's what guys have a problem with. First of all, don't you want to compete? There is something about competition. I would love to go back in my day and say, hey, let me call Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Let's just dominate the NBA. But, there is some part of this really good competition. But also, there's another thing I want to talk about, the LeBron thing. You do know LeBron was more excited to win that championship this year than the 2 he won in Miami, because he knew there was an asterisk.
Yes.
There was an asterisk by his name. So, and he knows that. I know for a fact that he knows that. He got more joy. And I've said this before. One of the reasons I was so excited he went back to Cleveland, he knew there was going to be more joy him bringing that champion to Cleveland than those clowns down in Miami. Because they're not like real fans down there. As much as Levitar try to act like they're real fans to keep Miami relevant, Miami's not relevant. Miami's only, they were only relevant when LeBron went there for 4 years. And the good thing about Miami, we don't have to talk about them anymore, unless Levitar brings them up.
Listen, Listen, I agree. My last year with the Dolphins, we had the best record in the league, and we couldn't sell out the stadium. I didn't think the sports fans were very good down there either. I'm with you on that.
I do want to get Charles, take Mike and Mike, Charles Barkley with us. Just about all this other money, you know, there's all this influx of money coming into the league this year and next, which is terrific. And I'm all for all the players getting paid as much as they possibly can. But there are a lot of people, myself included, who look at some of these contracts and wonder if there wasn't some better way to do this, to distribute the majority of this money to the guys who are at the top of the league rather than those who happen to be lucky enough to be free agents at the right time, and you wind up with insane contracts for players who clearly aren't that good. What do you think of all the money that's getting thrown around right now?
Well, you know, Mike, I'm happy for the players. I made more money than Bill Russell and Will Chamberlain. You know,
you did, but Timothy Mozgov is making more money than Steph Curry. That's the problem. You were a great player, and you just came late.
At the right time.
Right.
I mean, it's all about timing. Listen, man. Listen, ESPN and Turner Sports, we gave these guys $2.5 billion a year. You know, everybody, man, there's a lot of money out there. We gave them guys $2.5 billion a year. And that money deserves to go to the players. The fans cannot complain. I mean, listen, like I say, Turner Sports and ESPN, we gave a lot of these bums $2.5 billion a year starting this year.
I get it. But isn't there a way, or again, I said it yesterday, the limit of my intelligence is that I can tell you this is a problem. I can't give you the better way. I can't give you the solution.
And me being a foot soldier in my career, I love this.
But to me, it seems there had to be a way to give this money to LeBron and Kevin Durant and all of these guys, the Charles Barkleys of this era, who are the reason that the league gets paid $2.5 billion by the TV networks, rather than just having to throw it at these guys. So all of a sudden, Matthew Dellavedova is getting paid $38 million.
Well, first of all, those guys are going to get paid. LeBron's going to get $30 million a year for the next 6 years, any day now. I mean, he's going to get a max deal, just like Mike Conley did, just like Al Horford. Those guys been in the league 10 years. They're all going to, everybody's going to get paid. That's the reason Kevin Durant signed a 1-and-1. He's going to get a new deal next summer and max it out. So everybody's getting paid. You know, listen, man, I can't compare. You know, I feel bad for football players, but they got the toughest job in the world, in my opinion. I mean, other than teacher, fireman, policeman, doctor, somebody who's in the armed service, like real jobs. But football players, I don't understand why their contracts aren't guaranteed. I heard you guys talking about it earlier, talking about first of all, if there's more of a risk you can get hit, shouldn't you get paid more? You know, you guys said they don't have, Mike, I heard you earlier, they don't want to guarantee contracts because there's more inherent injury prone in football. I said, that should be more of a reason you get a guaranteed contract.
Well, what they're worried about is if guys get the guaranteed money that they'll become lax because they have the guaranteed money, which could lead to injury as well.
Well, you don't think these players going to get listen, there's no doubt in my mind some of these guys are going to be coming to games with smoking jackets and cigars in their mouth for the next few years.
I agree, but that's where I bring in the difference of the sport, where in football it's a car collision on every single play. Basketball is physical, don't get me wrong, but that's what I mean. If you bring the smoking jacket and a cigar to a football game and you have a car collision every play, a lot of bad things can happen. And that's at least the thought process. Would it actually happen? I don't know, but that's the thought process.
Well, Mike, you know, see, this is my biggest problem, and I've said this since LeBron went to Miami. This is the biggest problem we're going to have in the NBA. You know, this is a great way for me to answer that question. This is the problem that we're going to run into. We're going to have guys on bad teams making $25 million a year, and we're going to have 3 or 4 competitive teams. That's the negative of LeBron going to Miami, KD going to Golden State. Fans, first of all, the fans love their teams, they love sports, but they're not going to go see Sacramento, Indiana, Miami, these bad teams where guys are making $10, $20, $30 million a year, and they don't have a chance to compete. I mean, that's where we're going. We're going to kill the golden goose. Everybody's going to be making a lot of money, but other than 5 teams, we're going to be putting shabby products out.
a couple of times. You, Magic, Larry, and Michael are on a banana boat. Anybody getting thrown off?
I'm the only one that don't have a championship, so I'm probably going to get thrown off.
Charles,
I just hope it's somewhere they got warm water and no sharks.